today's practice, I am going to center and focus us around the foundations of meditation. I think it's something we often do regularly in this class, but we don't call that out. So, really letting our minds and attention focus on the body, our feelings, our mind, and our mental objects. And so, that's where I'll be pointing our attention throughout today's class. And of course, you find your own journey within that. So, my ask of you is to be kind and patient with yourself with whatever arises. This is a learning experience. It's meant to create a space and opportunity for you to observe. And through the power of observation, maybe you find some stillness or maybe you find some understanding. So, with that said, let's go ahead and start to bring our attention now to our postures. I know some folks are just joining us, and welcome to everybody who just kind of came in. Um, but yeah, check your posture. Make sure you can breathe well, since breath is a huge anchor to what we do in practice. Make any adjustments to your comfort level if you need to. Another blanket, sit up a little taller, relax your shoulders, soften your jaw. Close your eyes if it feels safe. These are all little ways that we begin the process of meditation, right? Mindfulness, this idea of paying close attention. And that's what you'll do. As I kind of give you something to pay attention to, that's where you'll learn, and that's where you'll observe, that's where you'll notice. So closing the eyes immediately drops you into the space of witnessing your breath and feeling your body and noticing what your mind is doing. And just take a minute here as you kind of take in everything, as you're collecting yourself and gathering yourself, just to notice the overall tone of what's present in this moment. And maybe, if possible, distill it down to a word that feels familiar to you. And there's no right or wrong answer to what it is you observed or what word came to mind as you just begun noticing just the state you're arriving to practice in. Now, I say that casually, but our brains often will pass additional judgments, attach stories and things to the moment. And those are the things that I'm hoping we can avoid getting too deeply lost in as we begin to bring our attention to a much more narrow and a much more focused place. That place is our breath. That is observing and watching the breath at the point of its origin. So that starting point for you typically arises in one of two places, either breathing through the nose or you're breathing through the mouth or a combination thereof. So maybe three, but um, typically it's one or two. So notice where the breath is starting, holding your attention lightly here. In observing the breath, notice the length of your breath. Are you taking longer or shorter breaths in this moment? Notice the speed in which you're breathing. And are you able to stay with the breath, stay concentrated with it? Or did your mind wander by chance into a thought or into a feeling within the body or anywhere other than staying with the breath and observing those moments where the mind slips into thought and you are no longer the observer, you're kind of enmeshed in the thoughts. That is the opportunity for us to also notice when to redirect our attention back, when to have it return to the breath. And if any story begins to bubble up about your ability to hold your focus or your attention or about this moment, observe that too. Notice the way the mind does that and simply release it and return back to the breath. Now, the nice thing about your practice is along this journey of moving through breath and through the body and through the mind, you might feel called to stay and keep your attention in one place a little longer. Please know that that is entirely okay to allow your attention to stay with the breath as we begin to move into the body, following the tenets of being kind and holding to your anchor that you're focused on. We can begin to let our breath merge into our body. Now, adding on and feeling where the breath moves the body itself. And notice that from the inside. In addition to noticing what is happening in the body as you breathe, also notice other parts of the body, such as where your weight is distributed. where you're making contact to the surface that is supporting you, whether you're lying down or seated. Your weight is being distributed in this moment. Can you feel into that? Letting your attention be aware of any additional tension you might be holding in the hands and the jaws and the body. Can you let the breath and the sensations with the body begin to align? This feeling of groundedness represents kind of the earth element as a physical embodiment within us. With the movement of breath representing air, any warmth you might feel representing fire, and the changing nature of all of your sensations representing the water element. These characteristics that you're focusing your attention on in the body and in the breath, and kind of allowing yourself to be this observer of them happening. They weave together to form a tapestry of what feelings arise within us. Typically, are the sensations, the feelings that we can sometimes meet in our practice might be pleasant, they might be unpleasant, they very well may be neutral. And in letting ourselves pay attention to them, notice the way we cling or push away from certain types of things that might be arising in the moment. Is it possible to suspend our judgment of those things that we like or don't like when they arise, and simply see them as just another changing element of the practice, like a breath going out or coming in? in this observation of our feelings arising, we also notice that they too respond in our stream of consciousness the same way our breath does and the way our body does, meaning that they are always changing moment to moment. This is an opportunity in the practice to let go of clinging. Sometimes in practice, we find ourselves wanting things to be a certain way or feeling something and not wanting it to change. And it's in that grasping of these very moving elements that we begin to create discomfort and suffering. Allowing this opportunity to notice your levels of focus and the level of effort you're placing into focusing on the elements of your practice. This can form our minds to feel very concentrated, or they can feel very expanded and open, depending on how we're holding our attention. Allow yourself to recognize and observe that in this moment. Anytime we come to sit and practice, we're faced with hindrances, things that can pull us off the path. Some we've talked about on the journey today, and not so much. Right. So this is an opportunity in practice to kind of notice where these things may or may not have shown up for you. moments in the practice where you found yourself strongly attached to or wanting something to be a certain way, a strong desire, an anger or frustration that may have arose, a bit of being disinterested, just not wanting to be engaged with the objects today, or a bit of sluggishness. These things kind of pop up from time to time in our journey. It's good to notice where they happen and re-engage our mind back to the breath or to the body or to your general feeling tone. As you take on the witness of all that's changed in the practice, can you turn your attention to look for the space from which you've been witnessing your practice, to look for what's looking in that space. In this way, we are looking to connect to the idea that your consciousness isn't located, that it is spacious and open and arises and changes with each moment. In the last few minutes of practice, take this opportunity to invite in a bit of gratitude, love, and kindness, of appreciation for yourself showing up, and wishing and acknowledging the universal desire to be happy, to be healthy, to be safe, and to live with ease. That those are qualities and things that you wish for yourself and for your loved ones and those around you. And just as I wish to be safe and happy and healthy and to live with ease, I wish for you to be safe, happy, healthy, and to live with ease as we begin to close out practice today. Slowly start to move the hands, blink the eyes open. Start to take in your practice and notice what you may want to bring back into your everyday life, your waking state, or simply just notice the observations that you collected during your practice today.